Hail, hail! The Celts are here, and Jesus, what a night, guys! Now I'm coming out to you live with this one. I've tried to do as much prep before we get on. I think I've got everything set up and ready to roll. I've just finished with the Brendan Rodgers press conference, just listening to that on the Celtic YouTube channel. We're not going to be watching that on this one tonight. We're going to be trying to do like an instant analysis type thing because tomorrow is Friday. We're then into the weekend. We can chat about maybe some of the ripple effects, the repercussions of this game in more detail in good time. But in terms of recording a video, getting out to you, yada yada, the schedule would be super tight. So it was an earlier kickoff, which makes coming out and doing this tonight a bit easier. I've listened to a little bit of Axom as I left the stadium, got to listen to a bit of the Celtic Way when I was on the train, and now I've been home and kind of got myself sorted and whatever. I'm listening to the manager. I'm kind of ready just to throw on and get stuck in. Now I do that because this is live. Normally, when I've got the tactics board and we're going through the game, I can do a bit more preparation. I've been trying to experiment with more things, and again, like I said, getting like frames from the game and other stuff that we maybe want to highlight, we'll be able to do in the fullness of time. In any case, I won't be able to do that level. Of course, we've got the tactics board as always, and we'll be painting some pictures and illustrating some of the things that worked well for Celtic in this game, because there was some things that did work well, and the things that are just mind-numbingly painful to watch. And it's so there's so many different things to touch on in this: the opponent, the situation, the game, the way the game panned out, all the changes at halftime, Bernardo starting, the goal. So I'm going to do my best to be coherent, but again, we're live doing this, not pre-recorded, so we might be a little bit all over the shop. If you're watching this after we've been live, fist bump to you. Thanks for about to persevere through all of this. And if you're watching this live and loud, of course, fist bumps to you all. The chat's been flying away. Sorry for being a little bit behind where we were scheduled to kick off. I want to get as much chat involvement into this one as possible, but I am quite conscious of the fact of the time of night it is. I won't be doing this for like 3 hours or anything, because sometimes it does take me a while to record these videos. And I will be going into kind of ranting mode in terms of like just normally when I'm recording stuff. As I start talking, I'm just going to roll with it. But I do want to bring you guys in as much as possible. So I might take a wee minute with the chat just to catch my breath and get the table set, and then we'll get stuck straight into it all. We're only live on YouTube at the moment, I'm pretty sure. But if you're on Substack, you'll be getting this after the fact, and there'll be no ads there. And fist bump to everyone catching us out over there. Now, let's maybe just start with the disallowed goal, right? It is criminal. It is criminal. Like, it's borderline, I don't want to say match fixing, right? But honestly, like, where does that came from? And the one thing, Brendan's mentioned it in all the press conferences. I've listened to a little snippet or two here or there before the big one came out. And of course, he has to get that on the record, and everything he says around that is well and correct. One each changes the game. We've just changed the 3 at the back. It did create some openings, and again, we'll go through that in as much detail as we can. I've watched the highlights back once, and honestly, like the first 10 seconds, I must have watched it about 5 times over, just seeing it, because I was at the game. McBride, and I did say to you before the Europa League, by the way, if I got offered a free ticket, I'm saying aye, because I always end up getting a ticket offer from somewhere, somehow, just these days. And of course, McBride, my pal, who's going to take me to the game, I'm always going to partake and go and see the game with him and his friends. So thanks to everyone that I was with tonight for their hospitality. It really does mean a lot. But it was not a good goal to see going in against us to start with. But anyway, the goal that doesn't happen is robbery. It's a huge sliding doors moment for obviously the match, but maybe even wider beyond that. We're now are we scared of Motherwell this weekend? Are we worried about, is everyone now worried about Hearts? Or is everyone now giving Hearts some street cred? Is maybe the better way of putting it. The ripple effect, the sliding doors moment of that goal being disallowed could be like massive. So there's no getting away from that. And everything that I go about talking about in the video today is with the context of that, right? I'm not going to really bring it up that often. I don't want to repeat it over and over again. I think we can all be on the same page with it. It totally changes absolutely everything. And you can't really, if you're going to hold on to that as being the thing of the game, you can't move forward with anything else. And the problem, I listened to, I think it was Axom this afternoon, it might have been I think it was this afternoon, because it was JP that was on it. When I was going out to the game, I listened to the replay of it. Was that, I've lost my train of thought now. But oh yeah, I was talking about how like like all the games that we've been winning anyway have been knife edge, and again that's something when we do the breakdowns here on the channel becomes quite apparent when you are really laying the game out moment by moment, phase by phase, and sub by sub essentially. But even the Aberdeen game, Hatate from the edge of the box, there's so much that has been knife edge so far, and it's just all the inefficiencies are like there. That's really what the game, and you could probably say the season as a whole, but we've just about, and I've said in those games, you can go and check those breakdowns out. The difference has been just we had a bit more quality on the day. We had a guy that would shoot from the edge of the box. We had someone, I'm thinking about Aberdeen here, Negren, who could just find that spot in the box for his finish in that match. And that's the sort of spot that he's been getting into. And again, there's so much to get started. There's so much to do in this one. So yeah, just the goal, right? We can all be on the same page with that. I don't really think it's much of a discussion. It's much of a wrestle, is it? What Boyson's comment, what Johnny's comment here is what are the staff doing now? There's two things, right? Because as soon as the ball gets kicked, then that's it, done, right? So you're kind of at the mercy a little bit of the referee if he's saying to the other team to take the kicking off the goal, right? But if it's for handball, like there should be some sort of, especially from Iheanacho, who will categorically know, like it's just not touched his hand. Is there a Paolo Di Canio grabbing the ball moment where you're just like, no, hold on, like that just didn't happen. Quite frankly, this is outrageous. Really make a big fuss about it. If the guys on the bench are sitting there with the tablets and whatever, again, they have to be like going balubas at the fourth official. Like the game cannot continue. That what is going on here? I demand an explanation. Before a ball gets kicked. There is that, which is something I've not really thought about, and I suppose is maybe worth putting out there. But yeah, I don't like thinking about the game as just that goal, and because I just don't think that's really the story at all of the game. I'm going to put the tactics board up on screen just so we can get the video kind of rocking and rolling. This works nice. So the main surprise in the team is Bernardo starts. Okay, now Bernardo played at the weekend, and Brendan was asked about Bernardo in the build-up to this game, and it felt like to me that was Portuguese journalist asking about Portuguese player, which it probably was, right? Fine, but he actually comes in to start this one now. So many of you guys, and even the boys I went to the game with, big Bernardo fans. Bernardo this, Bernardo that. I like the guy. There's nothing wrong with him. And I'm on the record, and I'll kind of repeat it again. Firm 6 out of 10 in every category. Fine, good player. Plays for the badge. And you really feel that's the thing I love about Bernardo is he loves being at Celtic. He loves it because, he didn't quite make it at Benfica, which is similar to Jota. We've had this kind of experience before in some ways. But he gets it. He loves it. He wants to be the guy. He wants it to be Celtic. He's at his career with, and there's positives to him, right? Make no mistake about it. And I'll just say at this point where we're talking about him, he was fantastic in the first half. Now the midfield is the real problem I've got with the whole team. So this is all gonna say bump into each other, right? But the best moments we've had in this season is when Negren, because Negren, and again, the boys I was at the game with, and even some of you guys, he's not rapid, especially at covering the territory of the pitch. I think he can be very quick over 10 yards. He's very good at getting into channels, getting into pockets, beating his man and stuff like that. But when he's covering the entire pitch or when he's defending, he's not fast. He's not lightning. He's not like Hatate. Hatate will cover ground a lot swifter. Negren doesn't quite have that fleet of foot. He's just not that quite light on his feet. And the best times we've had this season, right, is when we control the middle of the pitch. Now, this is something I highlighted in the Hibs game, and I was talking about how Hibs forfeited that area, so we could just live there. We could dominate, really, and I mean genuinely dominate the game, because when you're dominating the game in this area of the pitch versus, playing out from the back, going sideways, going between the triangle of death back here, the diamond of doom that we've got, including the goalkeeper, that's not dominance. That's not even dominant. It's not dominating anything. You're not dominating the ball. You're not dominating territory. You're just dominating the possession statistic. It's not worth much at that point, right? Again, that's something we will need to touch on again. So keep that in mind in terms of possession, and the temperature of the ball is the way I think of it. But Brendan talks about it as the speed of the ball. Maybe it's a tomato situation. It's just the way you like to visualize and think about things. But in this game, they made that centre ground really, really hard to dominate and really hard to own. Now, for me, there's principles and there's philosophy in football. Principles are undeniable. Like, these are just facts. You don't play the ball across the face of goal, blah, blah, blah. There's plenty of them out there, just principles of the game. If you're a good player or if you're, these are mistakes you don't make. And, yeah, principles, more than anything, And a fundamental principle of football is that the goal is where everything is won and lost on. The goal is in the middle of the pitch. You cannot score, and fair enough, the guy scored his goal from, where was he? Horta, it was this boy here, wasn't it? He was genuinely like here, wasn't he? Absolute whipper from out here. I thought when I was live watching the game, it was a bad goal to concede, and watching the highlights and sadly listening to the aftermath feels to be the view shared by everyone else. But that goal as well, by the way, if we had the highlights, we could look at it in a bit more detail. I said in the preview coming into this game, and sorry I'm a little bit all over the place, this is all about the midfield, but the gap in between defence and midfield is the area that will make or break us. It's the area in every pivotal game that makes or breaks us, is that space in between defence and defence and midfield. And again, it comes back to this kind of principles versus philosophy, right? Another like clear principle of football is when you're defending, you want someone to be able to go to the ball and engage. Our entire team, when we're defending, our entire team is in a state of retreat, is in a state of ball watching, and is in a state of being in the right distance to one another, not looking at opposition runners, not thinking about the ball, not actually even someone breaking rank and going to the ball. It's just something that doesn't happen. And maybe, again, keep that in mind. So that's something we'll talk about again later. And this was a space that they picked up quite often to hurt us. Anytime, if you've not watched the highlights, just think about the gaps in terms of the midfield and the defence. And for a lot of their turnover play, like this area of the pitch, they just absolutely got in and flooded through at will at times. Vickers and Scales did well in 1v1s, but we just weren't good. And we don't, as a principle, we don't try and control this area of the pitch for some unknown reason. We are really happy to control the centre circle. We're really happy to control the halfway line. That's where we are happy to set up shop and to hold and to dominate. And every team that we play against, when they bank in and they're getting tight and narrow, this is the main area of the pitch that becomes crowded. Why is that? Because that's the most dangerous area of the pitch. And if you don't defend that area of the pitch, the other team will attack you, okay? So it's very clear to see. The middle of the pitch is the most valuable real estate on the ground. There's just no escaping it. Our midfield didn't play the way that they have done when they've looked good this season, or even in Celtic midfield's gone by. And there is this style of midfield that we've played tonight, where the midfield are miles apart from each other, has worked in the past, right? I'm not going to deny that. Of course it has. When we had Tate, O'Reilly and McGregor, we had Taylor, we had Ange, that system all kind of worked well and good. This doesn't work, right? What we're trying to do at all times is bank out on the wings, dominate a side of the pitch, and try and hope and pray that these guys, when they shuffle across, one of them falls asleep and somehow we can get our winger to beat a man and we can get a ball played in. Right? That's generally the main thing we're looking to do, is get behind them rather than through them. And when you're trying to go around and in and behind people, it makes it really easy to defend, because do you know what you do? You just make sure nobody gets in and behind you. Now, can I find this? I've seen a great tweet. I've seen an absolutely fantastic tweet. Oh, how will I find it? How will I find it? God. It might be in my likes. Absolutely brilliant. Now, this is another manager talking about another thing entirely. That half looks like it, but it's not. I'll try and find it on the side, right? But this is very easy to defend against. And again, like, when our team has looked good is when the Gren tries to get into this zone here and dominate. When Hatate has looked good, he's very good in these zones here, either picking out players that are doing overlaps and running into the box, or himself maybe dropping the shoulder, playing into a striker, taking a shot, that kind of thing. This is the area that we want to live in. But tonight, this didn't happen at all. Now, I say it didn't happen at all. At the beginning of the match, there was a moment where Bernardo was actually the deepest of the three. And this was in the first 10 minutes, and I'm talking about like one passage of play. And I thought, holy moly, McGregor is on. McGregor's on patrol. McGregor's allowed to go and try and play in this match for us as the best, is what we want and expect here. But that wasn't really actually the way the reality of the game panned out. Was probably just naturally the way the ball had progressed and yada yada. This was the best. This was the shape the midfield was, and it was very much a left mid, right mid situation again with McGregor in this pendulum spot. Now I did highlight Bernardo earlier, and I'll just kind of finish with that. Right, Bernardo in this match was absolutely fantastic at being the best version of Bernardo that you want out of him. And what is that? Bernardo is fantastic in close spaces. Bernardo is fantastic at thinking quick about getting out of the situation in the best possible kind of way, So if he's in a defensive area and if they've got like a few players around and it's in a really tight space, the ball's bouncing around between Scales and whoever and blah, 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 and the ball comes to him, Bernardo's really good at taking one or two touches and playing the ball into this channel, or maybe playing it down the line, or maybe playing it all the way out to the right back, or not going to Scales, but going to Vickers. Bernardo's really clean, really clever in those kind of tight spaces. He fancies himself, and I'm still kind of flabbergasted by this, right? But he does fancy himself as an attacking midfielder. And this is, and I know we can shoot from the edge of the box. I've seen him score goals. So have you. We all remember all the stuff, right, about him. But he tonight was the best progressive midfielder we've had all season, probably. Every time Bernardo got the ball, and it was generally, and again, I'm really sorry about the kind of the dot management we've got here, right? It was generally like we would be a little bit deeper, and he would be in this type of zone here. Let's try and fix it up a little bit. He'd be in this type of zone here, and he'd get the ball really quickly. And I think one or two of these made it into the highlights. In 2 touches. He did this 3 times, I'm going to say, right? I can't remember precisely. I'm going to say 3 times. 2 touches, controls, plays. Controls, plays. All 3 times, it's to Taneke. All 3 times, Taneke gets on the ball. All 3 times, Taneke gets to the final third. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Hatate has not done that this season. Negren is never really in a position to be doing that. It's not really. I think he's quite good at moving the ball forward. Don't get me wrong, but Bernardo was slick Rick at doing it. It was a big game. You want to get the ball forward into space as quick as you can. We don't generally play against teams that, and I know maybe Hibs sometimes, and let's see what happens with the rest of the year with 1 or 2 other teams, but we generally don't play against teams that will go quite as high. And by the way, they were really clever. There was a lot of credit due for Braga in this one, although I would say a very beatable side. And you can, coming into this game, there's a few stories going on, right? Let's talk about Braga for a quick second. Their manager got the white hankies at the weekend. The fans wanted him out. Now, if you knew watching that game that one of the managers was about to get sacked, but you didn't know for which team, in terms of how switched on, how well the team played on the pitch, who played for the manager, who was well coached, who was well drilled, like, honestly, see when they were playing out from the back, see with their stupid stuff that a lot of teams get slated for, and I can't remember, I've not got the video footage to go and lay it out all proper and correct, right? Grealish and Gorby dominated the middle of the pitch. Those 2 boys, like, really, if they wanted the ball, they got it, and when they got the ball, they were very good with it. But see everything they did from playing out from the back, whether it was long or short, whether they went short and they messed about, they swapped sides, they knew the drill inside out. And this playing out from the back thing is overdone and needless for so many teams in so many occasions, except for a team that practices how to attack from said position. Because what the ultimate aim of this should be is within 3 passes, you're attacking. Maybe 4, maybe 5, right? But within 3 passes, you're attacking. And the amount of times in this game, I'm going to say it was 4, right? And again, I've not really had all the footage to kind of pour back over and double check, right? They played out from the back and got it into, and at the most, right, they attacked with 4 people. They never really attacked at any stage of this game with more than 4 people. And it was very clear of move the ball, and as soon as this person's got it, You can see that the left back, and again, you can go and watch our pre-match that we did on the channel for this. There was the escape ball, the ball that Bernardo's very good at finding. Where's the escape? How do we get out of the trap? How do we get out of the crowd? And they were very good at finding that. And with 4 players, they would burst forward and attack and do something really quickly. We don't play like a team that is that well drilled, that well rehearsed, and playing to such a rigid or such a well established philosophy is probably the best way of putting it. And the philosophy isn't very well established. I don't think the philosophy of how we play really has a clear and obvious route to goal about it. And when you don't have a clear and obvious route to goal, a great example I like, and who am I? I'm a guy who does videos and I've done a bit of coaching or whatever, right? But see, when I'm thinking about this type of stuff, whether it be for anything I've been involved in personally, or even as I'm talking to you guys now about it, I think of the movie Semi-Pro, right? Now, it's a very good movie. I don't know if any of you have seen it. If you have, I'll definitely be looking for audience participation. I'll try and come back to these. As I said, I'll be kind of going into video mode and just kind of running. But Semi-Pro is a Will Ferrell movie. Woody Harrelson's in it. It's very funny. It's about basketball. I won't bore you with the details of it, right? I highly recommend you check it out. But there's one element of the movie where Woody Harrelson is the veteran from the big team that comes to the wee team, and he's like the player manager, maybe the Kenny Dalglish, if you like, of it. He is one of the things he really tries to instill into the team is a play, as they call it in American sports, where the ball starts here, we're going to pass, run, do this, do that, the ball go to there, and we'll score, right? A play. And the play is called the puke. And what the puke is the play that they're going to run. They will do it until they puke, and they will be able to do it in their time of need, in the last minute of the must-win game. They'll have this move that they could all do, even in their worst condition, and it will blah, 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 right? And whatever. It's called the puke, right? We don't have a puke. We don't have even a, like, I don't know what's a grade down from a puke, really. We don't have a play. We don't have a route to go. We don't have a clear, you can see what the game plan is get the ball to this guy and then boom I suppose, sorry, what I'm saying is quite stupid because our play was very clearly get the ball to Taneke, right? So that is, worth mentioning also. But the midfield is so far apart that we cannot dominate the middle of the pitch. We can't go straight towards goal. We are trying to go round the outside and round the back. Daizen Maeda, we haven't even got to the I've not even really got to the match as a whole. I've kind of really tried to make this about the midfield, and I've kind of touched on a few different bits and bobs. Bernardo was brilliant. Negren was Negren, and I don't think he was particularly good or bad this evening. McGregor, like, what this midfield needs, right? That's probably one thing I want to say right before I kind of carry on, right? What this team needs, right? Because we're going to talk about what happened in the second half, right? And do I find that a coincidence that we were chatting about it on Axom on Monday and then it happens fucking weekend? I don't know. So in case we're watching again, Brendan, the middle of the pitch is where we need to absolutely dominate. The reason that Taylor worked so well is because Taylor gave you a body in here that was always willing to receive the ball and always looking to play it into the box, right? And that could have been a variety of different passes. Sometimes it didn't work. Sometimes it did. Sometimes it would even end up in right wing. You can go and check the videos that we did on the channel. Pick any game where he played well, and you'll hear me saying he was the best and attacking midfielder in the team. That is also a theme that we're going to revisit when we get to the second half, by the way. We need that in the team. We need someone that is going to dominate this area of the pitch. Now, I think we have a lot of candidates of players that should be able to dominate that area of the pitch. And I'm sure these are all going to, well, actually, I meant to check the chat if any have seen Semi-Pro. We don't, yeah. No muscle memory. We have a bulk. Yeah, that's a good one. I knew the chat would be good. Yeah, it is baffling, man, isn't it? Sorry, chat. I'm trying my best to keep up with it all. But yeah, we don't have a bulk. We don't have one of those. No muscle memory. Yeah, energy. Exactly. And to achieve this, right, we went to 3 at the back second half. Well, we just moved to that because I kind of, am I there yet? Yeah, Nacho. I was going to say about Braga as well, right? This boy Carvalho, whether it was him or Gomez or was he playing right wing? I tried to make sure the team was right. No, it was Yanis Daroca, I beg your pardon, that was on the right. I tried to make sure the team was all set up before we come on because I've got a feeling that guy. Oh, there he is. He's got a name. Good. Saves me typing it. Taneke got very well marked in this game. Taneke was exceptional, like exceptional. And sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. Dominating the middle of the pitch. We want to get the centre backs up to the halfway line. That's all well and good. We want our full backs, and we're quite good at having Donovan or Ralston or Alistair Johnson. Alistair Johnson against St Mirren is the best defensive midfield performance I have seen in a Hoops jersey in years. We do very well at having full backs tuck in and give a shield to the defence here and try and give us a bit of domination with heads, with bodies in that zone, right? That's empty. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about bodies, people wanting to be on the ball. We need to pull the midfield back together, not be on the touchline, not looking to try and link with the wide players. The midfield need to be together. But our midfield has been very, very good. It's rotations, right? McGregor can go forward. We've seen it in increments. It's maybe not as set in stone or as optimized as we want it. Negren, as we know, very happy to kind of roam around these areas, get on the ball in tight spaces and play other people in. Bernardo, who's on screen at the moment, showed to be very capable of doing that tonight. Has played in some big games for us in the past, and all the positives that go with Bernardo as well. But these guys as well are quite strong shoulder to shoulder. And I think if we had, even just bring them in. Let Donovan be the wide player. Let Tierney be the wide player. And this doesn't need to be about being traditional or anything like that, but it's just getting back to the principles of football, and that is dominate the middle of the pitch. There's a reason that wingers are very often 1v1 with people, because you don't want to dominate the wide areas with numbers. It doesn't make any sense, because when we are doing this and the ball turns over, like I've mentioned, we now have everybody, including their team, obviously, but they're attacking, and this guy's out of position, so ignore him for a minute. Everyone is in a state of retreat. Everyone is running back. No one can ever, at any point, step out. They're maybe in position already, and they step towards the ball rather than retreat and cover back in. And again, it's a huge symptom of making sure that you don't give the space away with the man, because if he does commit and then he's sold, everyone else is in super big bother there. So it's all about just making sure you don't make a mistake, keep it, recover back in, face them up, delay them, wait for the rest of the team to fill in, and then we can defend from there. That's the kind of principle that we're running with here, or the philosophy, or whatever we're going to think of it as. And it's just weak. And good teams will punish you. Every good, and again, it's not new. How many times have we been hurt? Like this zone, like an early two, yeah. This zone here between defence and midfield is precious territory, and we just give it away. We just give it away all the time. So that's the first thing I would just say about this team, is it needs to control the middle of the pitch more. Now, Taneke was brilliant in this game. I was going to mention about somebody else, I think. I can't remember who. But Taneke was very good. Beat two men very regularly. Beat one man often enough. Had three guys around him at times and was still doing fantastic. And yeah, the thing I loved about Taneke is he was on Iheanacho. Like, I was honestly sitting there thinking, Iheanacho must think this guy is a pain in the ass. And it was everything. He was constantly saying, Iheanacho, pass to me. You should pass to me there. Or, or when he swung the ball in very early, fired a great ball to Nicky across the face of goal. Nobody got in the end of it. He genuinely moaned at Iheanacho for like a full 20 seconds, like demanding him, like, why were you not on the end of that, So, big fan of Seb the Reb. Seb the Reb he's a hero in the making. He's going to sell some shirts. There's no two ways about that. Let's get to the second half, right? So, we get to half time, and it is dire. It is dire, isn't it? I'm going to take a pause, right? And you guys can talk to me for a second. I'll take a breath. Right, guys, talk to me. Where are we at with the first half play? Everything we've kind of laid out there. I'll take a wee pause. Get my breath. Smash the like button if you've not done so already. If you thought Seb the Reb was our best boy on the night. Iwata, not good enough. Yeah, well, Yeah, definitely water under the bridge with him, isn't it? This team is feeling like a court. So I do. So again, this is another thing. Where's that comment, Mr. Squeak? Brendan's the manager. Brendan makes the decisions. Brendan calls the shots. There was a lovely tactical tweak in the first half, and I'm glad I've remembered this. So great comment, Mr. Squeak. A lot to get stuck into on this. There was a break of play in the first half, a head knock maybe or something. I forget what. And Kennedy, must have been the first half. Kennedy had McGregor, and he was really telling him, like, do this and do that. McGregor was saying, what about the ball over the top? And he was like, no, don't worry about that because whatever, right? And I was thinking, oh, interesting. I wonder what's going to happen here. And what I thought had happened for like a split moment was that we went 2 up top. But what it was new instructions for how to press them. Saying McGregor was having to jump up, McGregor was going to go forward, McGregor was going to go forward. They were going to make it even harder for them to play out the back. And obviously made them go longer for periods in the second half of the first half, if that makes sense. And I found that quite interesting. That's one of the little nuggets you can get from going to the game, which I'm really, I guess, glad for this context. I guess I was there. And then when we had other instructions, when we change at halftime, right? So I just wanted to add that in there as well. And this midfield thing being split, like you've said there, like we referenced earlier, this is a Matt O'Reilly, Rio Hatate with the Taylor McGregor. That's this shape. That's this tactics. But Tierney isn't really doing the Taylor job. And the Gren, he's not O'Reilly, is he? But he's still got the same attributes without being as kind of big framed. I don't want to say he's doing the O'Reilly roast. It feels like he's a bit more marathon man-y. You know, he can't, like O'Reilly would never really often end up on the opposite end of where he should be. You know, that would be Hatate's territory. He was very good. O'Reilly ended up in these pockets. Very good at receiving the ball in this kind of zone as well. So he is kind of living that life, I guess, isn't he? So it is kind of maybe like... So I think it's quite obvious that the backroom staff are like the training guys, aren't they? I'm sure Brendan takes training. I'm sure he does stuff and all the rest of it. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know how you can set a midfield up like this, number one. And I don't know how... Like I say, and this is only for the context of, like, I'm an amateur, right? I was going to call this stream amateur hour. Is that what I called it? No, I didn't. The most embarrassing one yet. I was going to call this amateur hour, right? I'm an amateur, right? But I'm a coach. I've got a UEFA. I had UEFA badges and coaching and stuff like that. And I would be embarrassed, like, if my team didn't have a clear route to go, weren't really good at controlling the middle of the pitch, and didn't have a clear, like, transition. Like, one of the things you do in these tests, right? When you do the test for the UEFA B that I did, one of the things you're training and coaching with the players in the exam is a phase of play. It's an attacking phase of play, and how you're going to get to goal depends on what your theme is or what players you're working with, positionally, etc. Maybe you're defending, right? So fair enough, you do get defensive ones. But I don't see, beyond get the ball to Tineke, like, I just don't see anything. Like, there's no dominating them, you know. So anyway, we change to the back three in the second half, right? Donovan comes off, and Brendan said in the post-match, purely tactical, right? Now, fair enough. I think he did okay. Did he lose one or two of the balls? Yeah. This guy, Lelo, is arguably coming into this game their best player, the left back. We highlighted them in the pre-match. So it was a big test for Donovan. And Donovan's tests have only got steeper game on game, if we're being honest, you know. So big test. I thought he did okay without being exceptional. Not a bad sub to make, really. Donovan staying on probably makes a bit more sense in the fullness of time, because you kind of know you're not going to get 90 minutes out of Tierney for a start. And the most baffling thing about this, so he goes off, Sriracha comes on to play left wing back. Now, I don't know about you guys, right? But how Donovan comes off, right, which is fine, right? But why, in the love of God, Diza Maeda becomes the wing back at this point? He's played wing back against Feyenoord. I hear somebody about to say he gets sent off in that game. He was very, very poor in that game. And just having this one guy to deal with, because that's kind of man for man, the way it was, it makes a bit of sense. Like, on paper, I can see why it might be something. But this is just, if you're going to, it's if you're going 3-5-2, go 3-5-2. Don't try and just keep people on the pitch, because Taneki was still wide. And then I was thinking to myself, okay, so is like the Gren like up front with Iheanacho? Who's like up front? He wasn't. Off the ball, our midfield three was very much like a three. Now, we did do better in some ways. Like, we did give them some problems. Their system kind of broke on this a little bit, because Dyson been out here, being by himself essentially, and then everyone else really being closely together and focusing on one side of the pitch. We were able just to give them more trouble, more of a headache, and we did create some opportunities from it, right? There's no getting away from that. The change, like, was a breath of fresh air to see at halftime that we made it, number one. Number two, highly surprising. And fair play goes to everyone for the cojones to do it, you know, because it is like you're 1-0 down at home in Europe. I don't know. He was right in front of me. I don't think I can go along with these rotten. I've not even looked at the stats, or I've looked at the highlights once. Yeah. Try to keep up with everything, guys. Yeah. Come January, we'll have to pay for the nose for players. Yeah, for sure. So we stick with Iheanacho essentially against three centre backs. Tuneki's still got two guys to deal with out here, which is fine. We're trying to dominate the middle of the pitch a bit more, which I'm obviously very happy about. And the three at the back are, you know, they're kind of well set up, and you can just tell, but they were hyper uncomfortable. I don't think the back three were happy about this at all, to be honest with you. I don't think they were prepared. I don't think they were coherent in any way. And initially, when this happened, I'm talking about the first like 4 or 5 minutes of the first half. Why did we not pick up scales there? Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I should have grabbed the mute button. Excuse me. It actually made us really defensive, because at first, Dyson's in I'm playing right back mode, and he's like so deep in the pitch that when we are playing out from the back, we've got all these numbers, all these bodies, and we've got Iheanacho against three centre backs and Tuneki with his marker. And this has exaggerated the spacing of it. Obviously, I'll move them around if it makes anyone feel better out there. But this is as if we're winning 2-0 or something, and we're just trying to close the game out. And it took a bit of time before eventually Dyson was just told, no, you'd better get high, because this guy's just going to follow you and we're losing. Try and get them back at some point. But look at it now. They've got a back five against our front three. And then the way the rest of the team moves, the way this game pans out, guys, we mentioned Greg Taylor before being our best attacking midfielder when he was at the team. Our best playmaker tonight was Marcello Sirachi. When Sirachi came on at left wing, he was like playing well with Tuneki out here. Very, very well. Very often in this game, he was central. Like that, because this guy Horta, who eventually does get subbed off, right? But he was very narrow. He wasn't in the wide areas on occasion, of course, right? But he wasn't like trying to get out here. He was right when he scored his goal. He's trying to pick the ball up at the pockets and maybe play it for somebody else. So Sirachi quite freely was able to come inside. And for going free at the back, the rest of the shape kind of wasn't a shape. Iheanacho was up front, Dyson was wide, so was Tuneki, and everyone else was kind of not even in a box necessarily, because the rotations were all over the place. Sometimes it looked like Negren was kind of up front. Sometimes McGregor was kind of popping forward and letting loose. And McGregor did get loose as much in this game as you would really have wanted and needed him to. But Sirachi was the glue. He was the bit in the middle that made everything tick along here. He was going into those spaces nobody else wants us to go into. and 1-2 touch stuff. He's playing it round the corner for Taneke to take the ball on a run. He's gone on. Sirachi was our best playmaker tonight. He was fantastic when he came on. He was really the difference. Wasn't really necessarily, fair enough, like the midfielders that they were playing had a harder time. Fine. But the tactics didn't really change anything. Sirachi changed the game, really. He was the one that grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. He was the one that really did a lot of the heavy lifting, and credit to him. Now, when did the subs happen? I've kind of run for a wee bit here, guys. Sorry. I will try and pause for a breath again in a moment. But yeah, Engels and Hatate were the double sub. And this I thought was a bit weak at the time. Like, I think the game needed Hatate. I'm really surprised Hatate never came on. Like, if you're going to go 3 at the back, right? Why you don't maybe make a double or triple sub at that point, I don't know. Because Tierney's not going to finish the game. He brings on Dane Murray at some point anyway. Why not just bring on Dane Murray? And where is he? Didn't think he was going to feature in this one in the preview. Sorry, Dane. Like, seriously, at halftime, you're taking off. Do you even take off Donovan? You're taking off Tierney for Sirachi. I think if we've got cojones, if we're actually making the tough choices here. And we're taking, is that Donovan for Murray? I don't think we want to do that. So how do we want to do this? What's the real move? What's the way it should have went is what I just want to think about, since we're making content and we're talking about it right now. So this is the way it was. If you want to go 3 at the back, fine. If you want to keep Tierney on, right, that's okay. You want to keep Donovan on, but okay, so that's an unmovable. And then you want to keep Taneke on. You probably take Negren off. Put Dyson up off Iheanacho. And you probably bring on Sirachi. Yeah. So the move would have been probably Negren. Negren or Dyson. It has to be Negren or Dyson for Sirachi. That's the way to do it. And you go after them properly. Not that halfway house. But anyway, if I can revert back. So where were we? We had Sirachi on, but Donovan's off, of course, because it's Dyson. And Negren's on as well. Yeah. Sorted. Where are we? Chat. Let me see what he's saying. Hot sauce. No option to buy on Sirachi. And he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. I don't think there's any way he doesn't start at the weekend, personally. I thought he was the best playmaker on the team. He's been that guy when he's played almost every time I've seen him. It's like Juranovic. It's like just getting a wee Uruguayan Juranovic. I called him Uruguayan KT, but this guy's a playmaker. Like, this guy's a footballer. This guy, see what I'm talking about? Like, principles of football. Like, if he's the left back and he knows you're allowed to attack, he is just very good at knowing, be the extra man, be the overload, and then where is your pal? Where's the best ball to play for him? He's just very well, and that's the thing you kind of get with Bernardo, and I would say Negrin as well, but Bernardo's the best example of it. Is he's just like a well-educated footballer. You can tell he's had a good academy, good football, like upbringing in that way, where he just gets to get. And again, that's something Bernardo I think really gives you. He's got a bit of like football heritage, insert Jose Mourinho gif about him. You know, that's something I think Celtic fans definitely cling to, or definitely don't I say admire, so I don't think that's quite the word, but give him props for in a maybe subconscious way. Yeah, but our double sub is we take off Bernardo and Negren for, you guessed it, Engels and Hatate. Now, at this point in the game, that should feel like going into top gear. The last, how much? They both get 23 minutes of play, so they got the last 23 minutes of the game. I don't know if that includes his added time, which was 6 minutes, by the way. That should feel like going into overdrive. That should feel like going into top gear. Engels has been here over a year. Hitate's been here for 5 years. 5 seasons. This should feel like going up the levels. And Hitate got on the ball often enough to do something with it and didn't, sadly. And in comparison to Sirachi, in comparison to Luke McCowan at the weekend, Hitate didn't bring it. Hitate didn't even really seem to know how to bring it at times. Wasn't fun to watch. Didn't enjoy it. Engels was right mid. Then who came off for Forest? Dyson. Dyson then comes off for Forest, which is just like no harm to Forest, but Balaquisha, McKeown. Why? Why Forest? You want someone to get into the middle of the pitch. If we've already got Engels and we're focusing everything down the freaking left anyway. Even McKeown come in here, help with Matati. Help with Matati. I say Balaquisha, find him a spot in the team somehow. Just put him in amongst us and say, Mickey, just get in there and make it fucking happen, big man. You know? But no, we bring on Forest. Does Forest really get on the ball? I don't even remember him getting on the ball. No harm to him in it, but like, why is that the sub? Made no sense to me at the time. And then the final sub is, of course, Murray for Tierney. Now, this for me is really when it came home to roost that because there was parts of this game where Vickers was right back. The way that the lopsided the defence was, he did not look comfortable in that at all. When Murray came on, like this looked like a really good back three. If we're going to play back three, I'm sure Tierney's got a place in it. Don't get me wrong. Brendan was the first guy ever to say Tierney could play centre back, and he's also went on to do that a bunch of times for Scotland. But that looked like a fucking good back three, by the way. Like solid, big, powerful, really good for what we need them all to do. Vickers being a sweeper, essentially. Like, that looked really good. I can't lie. But they were not comfortable, and I don't think they were happy, you know, to be quite frank. And at this part of the game, like I said, the Sirachi's like attacking mid. Hatate is more like here. McGregor's kind of like here. Engels is like right mid. And don't get me wrong, Engels is kind of going everywhere with his hair on fire. I think he's obviously wide left, but yeah, Engels sadly didn't like. And the thing as well is we just seen Bernardo. And I was thinking about this because Bernardo was in the team sheet, obviously, when I was going to the game, and Bernardo was like fighting with O'Reilly for the minutes. He was trying to do the O'Reilly gig. And I never thought he was, never felt like he was the heir apparent, a guy that was really in that mould even. I've always thought of him more as a defensive player. Maybe he's a box-to-box guy, has always been my kind of perception of him. But maybe he is the guy that you just put in the attacking centre of the pitch. And in 1 and 2 touches, he's going to play a striker. He's going to play the winger. He's going to play the other attacking mid or whoever, the wild card left back, whoever it is, he's got next to him in attack. Play him next to Negren, like the plan was tonight. Maybe that is one that could work. I don't know. I was really impressed with Bernardo because he was doing, and that's the thing that was good with Bernardo, even when he was under the caution of O'Reilly, is that every time Bernardo came off the bench, you always felt this, you know, every time Bernardo came off the bench, you felt like he had been watching the game and did the thing that we could all see from the sidelines, like, oh, we need somebody to do this. He would always just read the game well, come off the bench, and he was very good at making an impact, wasn't he? And yeah, so anyway, this was embarrassing, honestly. Like, I've seen us lose to Ajax, Molde, Malmo. I remember Ronnie Dyla, Europa League, where we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Molde, I think. Fenerbahce, and they had like Nani and Van Persie and maybe like 1 or 2 other guys like that. And we had Ajax. And I think they had Kasper Dolberg and maybe 1 or 2 other guys like that in their squad. And I think maybe you guys will be able to, you will know, right? I want to say all of them. I want to say we finished on 6 points. I think we drew every game. But every game, we might have lost 1 or 2, right? But I think we basically drew every game. But every game we were in the lead for it. And I can't imagine us taking the lead in these games anymore. Like the way it's went. Beat on in defence. Yeah, probably. Beaton probably, but certainly in the team, wasn't he? But we took the lead in every one of those games. We had routes to go. We had players that wanted to play on the front foot, that wanted to get Parkhead flying off its seats. And this team just doesn't have it. There's just nobody who wants to, as I say it, I can't say it enough, control the middle of the pitch. Teneke is exactly what we need and what we want. Iheanacho is exactly what we need and what we want, to be quite honest with you. And there's so much good in the team, really. It's kind of hard to say the team's bad. It's playing very terribly. And I thought Engels and Itati coming off the bench, like, there's no reason for them not to win us the game. Really. I don't, like, I just, experience, profile, talent, everything. Forrest coming on, even bloody Kenny. Like, if you're going to put we need a goal, just put another guy up there. Why are we putting a winger on? Like, we're playing Engels right mid anyway. Like, we are down. Oh, yeah. I'm going to take a wee breath. Yeah. So, that's what I was. Let me go and check likes. I might find the tweet I wanted to, or the video I wanted to show you. Please, I must have liked it, surely. I'd be surprised if I haven't, but it's just a matter of when the hell did I see it? There we go. Found it. Beautiful. Now, this is a story. I heard this, right? And I know all of you guys, I know exactly what you're going to think as you listen to this, right? But see, because we can't control the middle of the pitch, we are very playable. You know, when someone's like, Messi, what they say about Messi is unplayable. We are very playable, right? This is a wee chat from Ollie Glasner. This is at where was it? Seminar. That link below. You can go and check it out. Check out this guy, his Twitter account, if you want to see the full thing. But listen to this.
It's very clear in when I managed Frankfurt, we played a team. They didn't lose in the German Bundesliga for 14 games, but they had 2 games in the Europa League at that time, and they lost both. And then I said to my analysts, okay, why? Because I think those teams they lost against, they were weaker. And then it was, in all these 14 games in the German Bundesliga, they had less possession. This was a team playing for counterattacks and transitions. And in the 2 games in the Europa League, they had more possession than the opposite teams. And then I said, okay, so let's say in an easy way, let's give them the ball. If all the others who tried to win it by possession failed, so why should we be the first one? Let's do it the opposite. And we had a home game, and we let them a little bit play in the areas where we allowed them to play. And twice we won the ball and scored 2 goals, and we were winning 2-0. And this was, let's say, from the data, we got the information. And then it is also because everybody we were let's say the bigger team in a home game. Everybody awaits that we make pressure.
Now, if you were playing against Celtic, you would say, let them have the ball, wouldn't you? Let them have the ball. Let them have the ball out wide. For some reason, they want to do it, but they're not very good at it. We will do better, against teams. We would do, that's what happened in the Champions League against Leipzig, against these other teams where, we had space to play into, and we aren't good enough to be on the ball. We can't dominate the pitch. If you look at all the good teams, we are a dominant team domestically, right? And dominant teams domestically that translate well into Europe take their dominant elements that they can scale up, and they scale them up. They can't scale them all up, but maybe if they're super dominant in possession, maybe they're just like competing in possession. But if they're like very good at set pieces, they make sure all the set pieces are through the roof or whatever. Lagerbielke, by the way, was flawless. I've not looked at the team scores properly. I've got the team here just for tracking the subs. We'll put the scores on screen. This is the match ratings, the performances out of 100 for everyone in the game tonight. And we'll have a wee look at these. Lagerbielke with a 56 out of 100. Did he lose any duels tonight? 8 clearances, 1 tackle. Very Lagerbielke. Jewel lost 4. He won 8. Net 4. Very good turn from him. Passes wasn't great. One contest. Wow, 3. Goodbyes, man. Grealish was good. Lelo was good. Goalkeeper was brilliant, wasn't he? For their saves. PB, only a 40-pointer. 40 or 100. 2 balls into the box. 27 accurate passes. 1 attempted assist. 6 successful balls into the final third. And I said 3 times. He's done it 6 times probably. Maybe not all of them are the same type of move is what I was thinking. But yeah, I suppose decent enough. But defensively, no real contribution there. And again, when you look at the highlights, you'll see like when we're defending, like our midfield just don't confront. Oh, I've got the thing all the other way around. But our midfield, like if we are defending, let's imagine this is a back 4 still, right? Just pretend Murray's a right back for a second. And the ball's out here. I think it's for the Horta goal. I watched it about 3 or 4 times. But the ball's out here. This is Negren. Or maybe I'll just go and swap them. This is Negren. Let's just go and swap them. Sorry, guys. See, that's the beauty of recording a video. You don't need to see this nonsense bit. Who am I looking for? Oh yeah, Rio's just an extra man. So I think it's for the first goal. Ball's out in this type of area here. And then yeah, I think it gets played into Gorby, I think. And then he switches it out to Gorta from like this type of position here. Something like this anyway. And McGregor's over here with Donovan, shielding this little triangle area. And Bernardo is shielding these 2 guys, essentially. That's the way they're kind of thinking of it, as little stems. That's the way it seems anyway. And when this ball comes into the middle, nobody can get near him. Like, nobody can get anywhere near him. I'm pretty sure that's the first goal. It's in the highlights, I'm sure, because again, I've seen it in the match, and I was quite glad to see it in the highlight package. Pretty sure it's the first goal. But that's not protecting the middle. Protecting the middle is being able to actually geographically be where the goal is. The goal doesn't move. If you're thinking about relationship to the ball, relationship to the opposition, these things are always moving. We mentioned it earlier, and I said keep that in mind for later. Brendan talks about and values ball speed, like how quickly the ball moves, right? And if ball speed is important to you, one of the benefits you get of that is everything should be fluid. Everything should be kind of moving. There should be lots of rotations with your midfielders, your inverted left back, and whatever wingers and whatever else is going on. So a set structure and some of the stuff I've been moaning about maybe isn't as important, because the main thing or the main theory is move the ball quick enough, get opposition to move out of positions and break ranks, and then kill space when you get it. But that comes at the expense of basic principles of football, which is the goal doesn't move, the centre of the pitch, the edge of the box. These are the areas where you need to be ready to have someone go out and close down the shot, close down the man, make it hard for him, force him into a decision he doesn't want to make at a time he doesn't want to make, rather than we're always in a position of retreat and always like going later to the ball or recovering back in. Chat's going well, guys. I just want to catch up with you guys and see what you are saying. But again, yeah, let's just. I don't know how I got into that. I'm really sorry. I'm all over the place tonight, so I'm trying to keep on top of the chat. Or maybe Bernardo. Yeah, so no one did particularly good. Vickers comes out for 57. Kasper Schmeichel's getting an error to go, by the way. Statistically, should have saved that goal. Is that what we're saying for that? Can't be for the second one. He's not got an error in that, does he? So Kasper Schmeichel statistically punished for that goal. Error led to goal. That's wild. 4 saves, 2 from inside the box, 43 passes, 8 missed passes. I think we felt all 8 of them. 8 possession losts. Not his best night. Probably his worst night, to be honest. In terms of just goalkeeping effort. Not effort, but performance. Taneke, Probably our man of the match, I would say. Negren's got a 51. That's interesting. 7 dribbles, 1. Guy was on fire. 2 shots, 2 balls into the box. 26 accurate passes, 12 of them in the final third. 1 attempted assist. Didn't miss 1 pass tonight. Lost possession 18 times, which for a winger in his sort of position, like throw-ins and by kicks and whatever, it's no big deal really. He said that he lost 12 duels, but he did win 10. And again, some of those duels will be those goal kicks and throw-ins kind of situations. 10 duels won is hyper impressive. He was fouled 3 times and he made 2 fouls himself. Good shifts from him. Definitely a standout. And he is like, he's really at high revs. I am worried that it can't go on. Like he will need support. Like he will need somebody else because it is just get the ball to Tanecki. Really, that's the plan. Ben Negren was on corners and stuff. It was Tierney should have scored as well, shouldn't he? Unlucky Tierney, great goalkeeping. 6 balls into the box. 3 final third passes. Yeah, very poor. Like Negren's an offensive player, and yeah, we just never really. Negren was just never. Again, if Bernardo got the ball, he was just zipping it forward, and Tanecki was off to the races. Negren was never really involved in an attack, was he? An easy sub to make, I think, on the night. He's played so much. And why are we not even trying Balakwisha in the Negren role? It's so weird. That's what he was doing before. And if you're thinking, he's maybe not quite found a place in the team yet. This one is so rare. So rare's fantasy football. It's all done with Opta statistics. And it rates every player from 0 to 100. So it combines. You've got things like a decisive score. So they can be negative or positive. Like you see with Schmeichel here on the error led to goal. You get error led to goal, own goal, penalty conceded red card. They're like the bad ones. Good ones are obviously goal assist, goal line clearance, last man tackle, and whatever. And they will move your score. Like he's got a decisive of 15, an all around of 3. So his rating on the game is 18 out of 100 based on Opta statistics. And it's very good score. And see, like you'll see SofaScore have got like an out of 10 and all these other apps. I don't know how they're made. I don't really like them. I don't think they're terribly accurate. Someone plays great. You're always going to see that on statistics. But this is really good for showing you some guys that maybe had a good game that you didn't realize, or guys that did have a bad game when maybe you don't think they did, or whatever. Big chance miss for Vickers. Again, another header from a corner. Like if we had, he's had 3 of them, I think 4 of them this season. Maybe not big chances missed, but shots from corners. Should have scored 1 by now. Very good defensive performance from the Fridge. I think if you play 3 at the back, Vickers is a great sweeper. Great sweeper. Not really much else to go through, but the starting 11 on ratings and performances. Hitate somehow gets about 10 points off the bench, which is eye-catching, I would say. 2 duels, 1 didn't lose a duel, made an interception, 37 passes. Hitate, I said it earlier, had more than enough of the ball to do something tonight. Did nothing with it. 15 balls get moved into the final third. But only 2 of them made it into the box. So his final third passes aren't going into the box. He's playing his final third passes to Forrest on the wing or something like that. Nah. Sarachi only gets a 31 out of 100, so that's not too good. Why is that? He got booked, gave away a foul, so that's -5. Goal conceded goes against him in the second half. Lost possession. Duels, yeah, okay, they kind of balance out to be 0, 2 versus 2 there. Passing stats. I don't know if this has been a bit harsh to him or not. Opta, they are the #1 stat provider all these sites use, SofaScore and everything else. So it is all the same statistics we're looking at. But they're famously like students work for them and stuff like that, like guys on work experience and whatever. Not saying that that's what's happened specifically for this game, but they are like a mass company, that kind of farm their work out. So sometimes there's discrepancies to be watched out for, which is why you can't totally rely on statistics. You need to marry them with what you've seen on the night. Iheanacho, sadly, didn't get his goal. Really robbed. And that was, again, that's a big sliding doors moment, isn't it? Maeda should not be played. Hot Sauce and Seb. Yeah. Best players on the night. Totally agree. I think that's everything I've got to say. If I remember anything else, I will say it, but I'll sit and chill with you for 5. I'll see what you guys are saying to it. as I leave the player ratings on screen. Yeah. They were decent. They weren't great. Like, did they look any different to like really anyone? I don't think Forrest is done, but I think Forrest is he's just too high up the pecking order. Like, this really shouldn't be a game that he's featuring in, considering the way it went. You know, if we're winning 3-0, bring him on. And yeah, like, you know, I was going to do this at another time, but let me see if I can check this out quickly. Search across your channel. Tierney. 6 videos. Only 3 of them show up. Have we archived content, maybe? If you search Tierney on this channel, you'll find 4 videos. It says there was 6. There should be more. All of this was foreshadowed. All of this was foreseen. Yeah, why Forrest? I didn't get it. And this is the sort of games we want him for, and he didn't really give us it. He can't play international football in this upcoming break for me. I don't think he starts at the weekend. You're right, Strange Love, but also there was a strong faction of people that were saying, like, do you think they would sign him if he couldn't play and he's a professional player? And you can't even really write him off at this stage because you never know how he'll be in 2 years from now, you know, and you don't know, you know, blah, 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 right? So in the fullness of time, anything can be true. You know, a broken clock is right twice a day and whatever. But we even spoke about it in the summer. You need a backup quite clearly if you're going to be running with Tierney. And the backup was our best player tonight, overall, probably. KT started the season decent. I agree completely. He was amazing. He was a huge upgrade when he first came back in. He also didn't go away in international duty last time. He can't go away this time. And it's a little bit of, well, I'll say that I don't know physically where his situation is. He did start really well, but you are right. He has been rotated. He has had an international break as a break. You know? Ralston didn't make it on. Oh, sorry. How many players have we had that might have been slated until they leave? Taylor was a prime example. Was slated by most of the fans. Yeah. Don't think Taylor changes the game tonight. I think Sriracha's an upgrade, to be honest, in that regard, because he's just got a bit more culture about him. And that's not being like a snob, because he's like Uruguayan and he played for Boca or whatever. You actually watch him, he is just better at football, you know? Like, there's just no getting away from that. He was brilliant. Just like Taneke is showing up, Balikwisha, Sriracha's showing up, KT. Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure what this Balikwisha is weird. Brendan told me when I was at the press conference at the time that he's not even getting it, Brendan. How does he not come on in that game? It's beyond me. There's another comment I was going to put up there. Yeah, Taylor's not even getting a game at Pau, which is just, it's just a shame, isn't it, really? I don't mind having KT, but it is like you're marrying an imperfect situation, because you can't, like, we can't sell Tierney, can we? We can't let him leave again, can we? Surely he's here till he retires. Is kind of what you think the plan is, which I don't mind. You know, bring it on. Let Tierney, let's keep him until he retires. No bother. Same with Forrest. You know, gladly give him all the contracts he wants till he wants to retire. I don't think there's any harm in doing that at all. And that maybe go as far as to say, I don't know if I'd quite go all that way with Ralston. Let's see how it goes with some other players, whatever. But like, let's imagine AJ was to move on. Maybe even Donovan. We could sell him for a bucket of money if he is as good as we think he is. Like a la Tierney in like 5 years from now. How old is Ralston? Ralston might still be halfway usable at 32, you know. So Calmac the same as well. But KT, like if you're bringing it, That's what I'm saying. Like, you could have let Tierney. I'm not wishing him out the team. I don't even want to finish that sentence, but he could have got another contract before he got a Celtic contract. You know what I mean? Doors always open. Yeah, I think Vickers is here for the term of his deal also. I know. It's mad, isn't it? Like, it's pure, like, it's bad on the pitch. Obviously got all the incompetence of the transfer window and everything. But, so again, I mentioned this earlier. Sorry, I need cough. That team was not prepared to play 3-5-2. That team was told, I think, for the very first time in their life, they were playing 3-5-2 in that changing room. And, like, who is coaching the team, educating the team, refining the patterns of play? Because as an amateur, which I am, admittedly, with my wee B license and my wee CV and my wee YouTube channel, honestly, some of it's just embarrassing. Like, how can a professional team of Celtic's caliber be so dysfunctional, is the word for it, probably. I remember Brendan, the first time he was here, his number 2 was Chris Davies. I believe he's now the Birmingham City manager. And I went to a scouting course thing that he was running. So excited for it, because you're hearing from like the Celtic assistant manager, and it was brilliant. They had the Celtic youth team there to demo some of the drills. Karamoko Dembele was there, as well as another little blonde kid. I never caught his name, but he was way better. Karamoko was kind of phoning it in, you can probably imagine. But this other little blonde kid was amazing. And I've got no idea who he was or where he went, but he was brilliant on the night. And that Chris Davis was incredible. Like, wow. Similar age to me, maybe, yeah, similar age to me, mid-30s to late 30s. And he gave me a lot of confidence as like a person. Like, wow, this guy's like a super good coach at a really high level. And maybe he did play at academy or something. I don't know all of his background or whatever, but I found him like a very good coach to listen to. Could tell he was a very well run coach, and as a fellow coach, I found him to be rather inspirational. And that guy, Ange, actually wanted to hire him. I don't think he ever met him, but he wanted to hire him at Tottenham, and that didn't happen. Somebody else took him, I think, didn't he? Or he got a job in his own right. Obviously, he's got a job in his own right now. That was me, Quinny. What was that? Oh, you were the player. I actually seen Yamada tonight leaving the stadium. Yamada was in attendance. Yeah, it's just mad. Yeah. There's other options we could have done at left back. There's other options we could have done all sorts of stuff. But really, Tierney's a great one. Like, let's have it right. Like, I know he wasn't great tonight. For however long he's here, he's going to be. He's Tierney. He's brilliant. We've seen it already, but it's not going to be like a tap where we can just get him to be brilliant. It's going to take time. I think it's quite underestimated athletic optimization, I suppose. And like, he kind of needs a pre-season, if I can say that with different emphasis, to kind of set himself back on again, a kind of career trajectory of minute management, games, and whatever. Like, if you can imagine you were a marathon runner and you ended up losing a lung or something like that, and you want to go back and do marathons, it would take a fucking long time to, that's obviously an extreme example, but I think you know what I'm trying to get at here. So I do think, like, that's why I want to stop short of, like, the problems with Tierney, we know. The longer you scope out, is it a problem? Do we master it? Do we master the Tierney minute management? I would be hopeful we could, but I think what tonight shows is it's foolish to think he's there the now. Oh, really, Doco? The Braga coach? I maybe need to look into him there. He had a YouTube channel as well, did he? Do you know, I was really, it's moments like this where it's previous moments like this is what got me coaching in the first place, because I'm just like, I'll try it, I'll go for it kind of thing. And it's when you watch football and you think, oh, I would do it this way and I would do this and da da da. I'm a 3-5-2 guy generally. That was kind of Conte Juve was my first kind of thing where I was like, oh, I'd love to. That's how I'd want to build a team, Conte's Juve 3-5-2, and they don't let you do that in the UEFA license. So I had to do 4-3-3. Maybe they do now, but they only gave you like 4 formations to choose from. And see, I did that Celtic application thing, which I get incredible support still for. So thank you very much. But that kind of like opened a wee door in my head again to like, oh yeah, I could coach, I could like scout maybe, or I could analyze, or I could maybe actually work in the game. And watching the game tonight, like everything inside me wants to be in that dugout, saying like, like let's move, get him off the bench, and I'm sure we all feel like that. I don't think I'm unique in that way, but like, oh, I could get right back into running a team, by the way. Yeah, not at all. Not at all. What's your philosophy? That's a really big one. It's kind of contradictory to what I just said, actually, because like the thing I had to do on my test was about 4-3-3. So my philosophy that I was tested on was 4-3-3 attack. So philosophy for that's quite different to like 3-5-2. But yeah, I think all the players that played under me would say definitely attacking, definitely front foot. And yeah, routes to goal, very well established. Control the middle of the pitch. I don't know. I know nowadays when you do the UEFA licenses, you need to do like a fucking dissertation on your philosophy, I think. So when I did mine, it wasn't quite at that level of what is your philosophy examination. Yeah, but I think they do it now like proper. Like you need to have it scratched out. And I think that's why so many of them get brainwashed into it now for like, this is my philosophy. Thank you very much. Very kind. I've graced one or two, maybe not enough for my liking, but yeah, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate the support. Pep's added a long ball punt, but the thing is, like, see, even the playing out from the back thing, like I mentioned with Braga, and like you've seen with Braga tonight, when it works well, you are trying to get your attackers attacking within 3 or 4 passes when it works really well. So when it's been a long stream, guys. The battery on camera 1's off, so we'll take camera 2. Is camera 2 going to work? Oh, I've got the shutter on it. There we go. Boom. Camera 2. Sorry, guys. What was I just saying there? Sorry. Oh, yeah. So, and that's why he wants a goalkeeper that can play with the ball at his feet, Pep, so that he can miss out this and go to the winger. It's not always going straight up to the big centre half to knock it off his big dome, But sometimes it's that goalkeeper will chip it out to a midfielder in this position, or will chip it out to a winger in a really wide position. Or sometimes they do go route one. Ederson gets some assists, so does Alisson. We've seen it. So I think it's a little bit of a thing the media and the dinosaurs like to kind of perpetuate about some of this football, that like, oh, they never play the long. It's always a long pass, with these guys, if they do go that. And it's something that, again, it's a principle of football. You need to mix it up. If you do the same thing over and over again, unless you're fucking Messi or Arjen Robben, they're like the only 2 people that have ever been able to be completely predictable in what they do and still be utterly unstoppable. Could you say the same for Xavi and Iniesta? I don't know. And again, you want to talk about Xavi and Iniesta? Those 2 guys were basically holding hands going across the pitch. Like, anyway. We're kind of running off into a few tangents. Braga are 5th in the league. Yeah. Under a lot of pressure coming into this one. Get into the mixer. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about there. Sorry. Thanks very much, Dan, for your support. But yeah, I'm right up for getting back into it, by the way. I don't know. I've just got that thing in me where I don't know. That's why I do YouTube as well, where I just want to talk about stuff, or I want to like, look at this. What do you think? This is what I'm seeing. Am I mental? Do you think the same? I've kind of ran out with roads to go down with these now, guys. I'm really interested in getting the chat going, but and seeing what you guys are saying to it. Ball forward. Yeah, like I think, and again, I think it's from doing it a little bit and from the kind of sentiment that we're chatting about now. But your guys like Sam Allardyce, David Moyes, and whatever, they do get a bad rap, especially down south, for like people brand them as negative or whatever. But like these guys, like it's one thing I love Ange for, like, and I think it's what Arne Slot was the master of. See, not using excuses and just getting on with it. Honestly, it's so powerful. Just actually blaming things that you can control and trying to master the things that you have in your control. And for this team that trained together, and yeah, we're not in pre-season where they can have like a 2-week concentrated session of like, this is the tactics and the philosophy. And I know that a lot of work gets done in that area, that time in that area. I get that. But the principles of like how we're going to create chances, right? Let's say this team's attacking and we win the ball. What do we want to do? We want to get the ball to Bernardo. If we're in our half of the pitch, get the ball to Bernardo. And if the ball's getting to Bernardo, Negren and Taneke, you guys need to be there. One of you need to be there. Bernardo, you need to know which one it is. And if McGregor can get the ball at Bernardo, McGregor's under a bit of pressure or whatever, then from there, we know that Negren will be travelling this way. And if Negren's travelling this way, what run should you make? What run should you make? What options could you give? Blah, blah, blah. If he plays it to Taneke, what's going to happen? Well, Taneke's going to take it down the line, isn't he? So where are you going, Iheanacho? I'm going straight down the pipe. Negren, where are you going? I'll go across the face. Dyson, what are you doing? I'll hang about the back. Cool. 2 routes to go. Practice it till you puke. You know what I mean? Defensive possession drill over here. Whenever they turn the ball over to Bernardo, the attacking drill starts. You put another ball in here. They do the possession drill again. That attack breaks down. They reshape. They wait for the ball to come out. There's a session right there. Boom, boom, boom. Brendan, if you've not hit the like button by now, that deserves it. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know, because Andrew was quite happy to work with the tools he was given, as was Ronnie Dyler. And I think he even found it extremely limiting at the end and prohibitive. I think the board got so greedy of Ange that, you know, if Tottenham came in for Ange, he was always going to leave us. The board's budget, transfer strategy, policy would never have really changed that outcome. He was always going to leave for the Premier League if they ever came calling. But I think you could feel it and sense it around everything around the team at the time that he knew, like, we can't really move on, keep buying £3 and £4 million players, you know. Yeah. It's and you know, like, see, for the midfield, genuinely, like, I don't think changing to a back three really solves all the problems. See, genuinely, what I thought was happening in this game at the beginning, it's the last thing I'll leave you with, but this is what I thought we were, I'm probably going to get on this side. I thought this is what we were going to start with. See, if you want to do that same little drill we just did with Bernardo, but Bernardo's deeper, because we're a dominant team domestically. We're going to be attacking. We're going to have all the pitch to ourselves. And we want our players with a great range of passing and the leader and the driver to be where the game is won. We want him to be in and around here with a bodyguard to cover for him. And Bernardo, one of the things I've often liked about him in this role is he steps out. You know, he doesn't, and fair enough, like, for being mobbed, this isn't really an attack kind of thing that worked. I think this was a set piece play we were setting up earlier or something. Then, you know, defenders defend. You've got 3 guys to deal with. There's 4 of you. Like, good luck. Go for it. That's what you're meant to do. It's your job. Roy Keane meme insert. This is what I thought we were playing with tonight. That could have been wildly good. Like, if you just really told McGregor, 3 roll. Negren, 3 roll in attack. You keep Dyson wide. You keep Taneke wide. You keep Iheanacho in between 2 centre-backs. You try and create as much space for them to roam around as possible. And then, yeah, can you get a bit of support out there? But no, we didn't get that. We got Bernardo. being the attack and transition guy, which was cool. But we still just sold this space. They were just able to roam in here. I'm going back in circles, guys. I'm really sorry. Anyway, thanks to everyone that tuned in tonight. Really does mean a lot. Thanks to all the support. We'll be back live tomorrow, which is Friday, at point of recording, to preview the game this weekend. Thanks to everyone that tuned in. If you've not already, please hit the subscribe button for more. We might... Is there anything? I think I've said everything I wanted to say. Yeah. Thanks to everyone that tuned in. Hopefully this made your night or somewhat better, or your morning if you're catching this after we've been live. I forgot what camera we're on, sorry. Yeah. Hail, hail. One hoops.